So you've spoken a bit about skinny supermodels on yachts, and that leads very well into kind of the next thing I want to raise, which is we've been talking about desire all day, but we've kind of skated around the idea of gender issues, and I think it's worth getting into that. Our next question says, in all the images of desire pictured thus far, the bodies of young women are displayed as symbols of the subject of desire. Is the female body as the icon of desire indicative of fundamentally different roles of object and or agents of desire?
Yes.
Yep. Can you expand? Because that's kind of a very, I mean, you're not coming from a Buddhist perspective, but I mean, that seems like something that kind of goes against the fundamental idea of emptiness. You're saying that there's an essential nature there?
Well, I'm not a Buddhist.
Right,
so it's
right.
easy for me.
All right, so can you expand on your viewpoint? I guess the question is why?
Well, that's obvious, I think, really. I mean, if I'm a biologist at least, and I mean, we want to exist.
Right.
And we aren't just our current selves. You could say we're also our genetic trail, which is somewhat immortal. And the reason that the female body is an object of desire is because it's the vessel by which that eternal transmutation occurs. Mm. And you can't be a biologist and not know that that's fundamental. So, and it's fundamental in so many ways that it's a fundamental archetype. That's why St. George frees the virgin princess from the dragon. It's like St. George has been doing that for 60 million years. The probability that he's going to stop is 0. And the princess is actually waiting for St. George to free her from the dragon too, and that isn't going to go away either. And it's not just culture. Anybody who thinks that, as far as I am concerned, is, I don't know, they've got this bullshit thing going, I'm afraid, in a big way.
Well, was the gist of the original question sort of the belief that there's some sort of metaphysically, that female bodies are sort of metaphysically inherently desirable or something like that?
Yeah, so I mean, I framed it as kind of a gender question, but it wasn't purely. So I mean, is desire indicative of fundamentally different roles of objects and or agents of desires?
But the two things are sort of mixed together. I mean, things can play important functions in our society and in our biology, like Jordan is alluding to, without that leading to the metaphysical conclusion that they sort of are intrinsically or objectively possessing of desirability. I mean, like those. That's not a sound inference, right? I mean, like, you know, lots of things. I mean, money performs a, you know, this powerful function in our society, and we use it as a representation of how fundamental the love of money is, the root of all kinds of evil. But I don't think that stuff that we call money metaphysically has value. In fact, we periodically realize, wait, this stuff doesn't have any real value.
Right.
So the two, like, I'm just worried about the logic there. Equating those two is not, I think, a legitimate inference. And so as a Buddhist, I could say, look, I think things play fundamental roles and they're empty of any kind of inherent nature of attractiveness. Right. And there's no contradiction there.